You know, some stories sound like they're straight out of a political thriller, but this one is all too real. We're about to untangle the absolutely chilling case of the MP, the cop, and the killer car.
Just try to picture this for a second. A sitting member of parliament, a person elected to serve the people, being literally hunted down through the streets of his own capital, not in some dark alley, but in broad daylight. And that hunt, it ended in the most audacious way you can imagine. A public murder. So let's start right there. Okay, so here are the core facts. The date is April 30th, 2025. The man is Kasipul Member of Parliament Charles Ong'ondo Were, and he's assassinated right on the busy streets of Nairobi. His murder, well, it would kick off an investigation into a conspiracy that reached way, way higher than anyone expected. With a crime this brazen, you've got to ask, where do investigators even begin? Well, they found their first big break in the one thing the killers couldn't just make disappear, the trail of the car. The entire investigation quickly zeroed in on the getaway vehicle. It was a Toyota Mark II with the license plate KSZ645Z. And look, this wasn't just a simple getaway car. This car actively tailed and then cornered the MP's vehicle. But the biggest question of all was, who did it belong to? For a little while, that was a complete mystery. And this is where the story takes an absolutely stunning turn. The car wasn't registered to some known gangster or a career criminal. No, it belonged to an assistant commissioner of police, a senior cop.
Now, you'd think finding the owner would solve the case, right? This discovery didn't solve anything. In fact, it blew the whole thing wide open, exposing this really bizarre and deeply suspicious link between a top cop and a known suspect. So let's break this tangled web down. The car's registered owner is Assistant Commissioner of Police Juma Ali Hickle. But he has an alibi. He says he was hundreds of kilometers away in Nanyuki. So, who was driving the car? A murder suspect named William Omelish Ogali. And the connection between them? Get this, Hickle had actually bought the car from Ogali just a year before all this went down. And that price tag? 300,000 Kenyan shillings. Just let that sink in for a second. A senior police officer is buying a car from a murder suspect. And it's the exact same car that would later be used to assassinate a politician. Yeah, the questions just keep piling up. So now you have one car, but two completely different stories. Commissioner Hickle's official line was that Agalali, the suspect, just borrowed the car to transport spare parts. You know, a totally mundane excuse. But the reality, the one captured on camera for everyone to see, was a cold, calculated hunt to assassinate a sitting politician. The two stories just don't add up, not even close. And thanks to all that CCTV footage, investigators were able to reconstruct the MP's final, absolutely terrifying moments. They could literally watch the hunt as it happened, step by step. The whole thing starts near Parliament. The Toyota Mark II, and it's working with a motorcycle, starts shadowing the MP's car. They circle around the Parliament roundabout and Harambe Avenue, just locking onto their target. Then the chase winds its way through the city's heavy traffic down Kenyatta Avenue and then onto Valley Road. The Mark II is just relentless, closing in for that final fatal moment. The investigators who sat there and watched all of this footage, they came to one inescapable conclusion. And it's a chilling one. This was no coincidence. It was a coordinated hunt. And right there near the Gong Road roundabout, the hunt came to its tragic end. The MP was shot at close range. It was a public execution in cold blood. The murder itself was so brazen, but the reason why it happened, well, that's still shrouded in mystery. The biggest question of all is still the motive. And you know, the actions of these guys after the assassination are just as strange as everything that came before. Commissioner Hickle gets back to Nairobi and just casually asks the suspect, Ogali, about the car. And Ogali's excuse, oh, it's at a car wash. The next day, Hickle has a boda rider deliver the keys. I mean, seriously, is this how you act when your car has just been used in a high-profile murder? And this conspiracy, it was wider than just the cop and the suspect. In total, 5 people were accused of being involved. And in what has to be the most devastating act of betrayal, one of them was the MP's very own bodyguard. So, after all of this, we're left with the most important question of all. What was the real motive here? Was this a political murder? Some kind of personal vendetta? Or was this all just one small part of a much larger, much darker conspiracy? The car, it told its story, but the reason why remains the biggest question of all.